Welcome into Point Blank, brought to you by our friends at Fitz Roofing. ESPN's Last Dance documentary has just been really awesome. It's been one of the best things on TV, one of the best things about the stay-at-home order. One of the cool things about the doc is the revival of this age-old debate in the NBA about the Rockets winning those 2 championships when Jordan was not there, when he took a little break. And you've been speaking to guys around the NBA about this, one of which was Charles Barkley, and we're going to get to that sound in just a moment. Let's start with the comments with a former Rocket and a former Bull. You had Bill Wennington on, who was a backup center, and you had Shane Battier, who was a former Rocket and Heat player. What did they have to say about this?
Well, from Bill Wennington's standpoint, obviously he, for a lot of reasons, but one is the guy won him multiple championships. He sided with Michael Jordan as the deciding factor. He did not deny the talent of the Rockets, which is what is very important to kind of focus on here. The Rockets had talent. They were deep. They had a lot of ability, and they had a great player in their own right, Hakeem Olajuwon. So he did give the nod to the Bulls, as you would expect him to. He said Michael was the deciding factor, but he gave credit to Hakeem and the other players that made the Rockets a deep, talented team.
Let's hear what Shane Battier had to say about that.
After going through a couple title runs myself, the dynamic of championship fatigue is real. And the Rockets went through it. I have to think that after the 3rd championship, the first time for the Bulls, that was like a really, really, really awful grind. You saw it with the Warriors, last year, where you play so many extra games in the playoffs. At some point, it has to catch up with you. I've heard this argument, and people are quick to say, "Oh no, the Bulls would have taken care of the Rockets." I'm not quite sure in that 4th year, the Rockets' first title, if the Rockets don't win.
Okay, so what do you think about what Shane said there?
You know what? I think he makes a good point. He's also, because he's a Detroit kid and he hated the Bulls, I think that kind of factored in. He was giddy in the years the Pistons were winning. But when he looked at the series, I think, again, as a basketball aficionado, and everybody's always so quick to, it's like you got to kiss the ring and never offend the head of the mob. Well, you don't want to offend Michael Jordan, as we saw in the documentary, but at the same time, you got to give Hakeem Olajuwon and the Rockets credit, because the more you think about it and you think about who on the Bulls had to guard Hakeem, that's a big factor as well.
Absolutely. And your boy Charles Barkley got into that. Before we get to that sound, why don't you give us a little taste of that special that Fitz Roofing is running right now?
Yeah, right now with the pandemic and everything going on with the coronavirus, Fitz Roofing is dedicated to the people of Houston. So right now they're doing minor roof repairs for free. The people at Fitz want to make sure that their guys stay busy doing work, and they want to take care of you in a situation where you might not have the finances you always do, and you need minor roof repairs. All you got to do is call 832-521-3001 or go to fitzroofing.com. They'll set up a free, no obligation inspection. Come to you, see what they can do, and check them out. Fitz Roofing, making a difference one home at a time.
Let's get to that sound that we were talking about earlier. Charles Barkley sounding off on Jordan versus Dream in the finals.
I really don't want to get into hypotheticals. It would have been an interesting series. Listen, Hakeem was a monster. He was unguardable. The Bulls never went to a guy inside, so throwing Cartwright out there or Wennington, they wasn't going to ever get the ball. So Hakeem would have been in a very interesting situation. I mean, because he didn't have to play defense on those guys. He would have been trying to stop Michael, things like that. But listen, hey, it doesn't really matter. Nobody can take the Rockets championship away from them, and Hakeem is one of the best to ever do it, and that's all you can say.
What do you make of that statement?
I think it was great because he starts out by saying, I don't do hypotheticals, but then he did a hypothetical. And he broke it down for us in a way in which it makes sense from a guy that played against both of these teams during this run. So he knows both teams well, and he knew what a beast Hakeem Olajuwon was. And I knew the story from traveling with the Rockets that Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods were at Charles Barkley's house when Charles had the Rockets coaching staff over to his house in Phoenix during a road trip. And Michael looked at Rudy in the eye and said, hey, man, I know that we had a good team, but we had no answers for that big Nigerian in the middle. And he was talented. And so you look at the Bill Cartwrights and the Wenningtons and the Luke Longleys as trying to slow down and stop Hakeem Olajuwon. Good luck to you. The fact of the matter is, when you look at the comparison of the two teams, Michael would get his, Hakeem would get his. The real deciding factor would be the role players, the other players. Robert Horry, are you going to contain Scottie Pippen? Vernon Maxwell and Mario Ellie, are you going to be able to do a job on Michael Jordan? Who's going to make the big shots? Does Steve Kerr have to work harder with a guy that's more athletic on him, like a lot of the depth the Rockets had at the point guard and shooting guard position? It would have been a fun matchup to watch, and even the coaching battle with now 2 Hall of Famers, Rudy Tomjanovich and Phil Jackson, would have made the entire series just must-see TV.
So let me ask you this. There's kind of a theme that's running through all of these answers that you get, and really it's that no one really wants to pick a side here. What does it say that no one wants to definitively pick MJ except for the guys that are on his team? Everybody else is afraid to pick. What does that really say to you?
Because I think when you see about what the iconic Michael Jordan persona means, what his overall, from marketing to, as you said, one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time to play, players want to be respectful. They don't want to offend those that have paved the way for them to do what they did in their careers. So they don't want to do that. But at the same time, it's brought a whole new positive light to Hakeem Olajuwon, where ESPN says he's number 12 on the all-time top 74 list. But when you talk to people here, what I take away more from the Jordan aspect of it is how many people are willing to give Hakeem direct credit and maybe indirectly. Because the reason why they won't pick the Bulls is because they know in their heart of hearts, Hakeem Olajuwon, when he was on top of his game in his prime, which he was during this time, he was unstoppable. He might not have had the marketing machine behind him that Jordan had with Nike, but he had all the tools. He could play multiple positions. He played both ends of the floor, and he made free throws. He made a signature move into something that's NBA history in the Dream Shake, and he basically took it to everybody every single night, and that's what basketball players respect too. So I think it's basically got a respect for both guys. No one wants to pick a winner, and Hakeem comes out looking great because he gets maybe more credit than he got even after his career ended for the way he played, especially in big-time moments.
I could keep talking about this for hours. We want to get the fans' perspective of this and our viewers' perspective of this. So we're going to ask everybody, sound off on this. Tell us what you think. Hashtag Dream versus Jordan, and give us your thoughts on where this matchup would have gone. Let's hear from what the readers have to say and see where they falls.